Developmentally, the early years in a child's life are so important because that's when they're absorbing the most information. Everything is new to them. As a parent, I love knowing that what they're watching on TV is sending a good message. I have been able to bring PBS learning media into my classroom. It's rewarding knowing that I've touched a family, touched a child, and made a difference in their life. And PBS is part of that.
You're watching New England Public Media, WGBY Springfield.
Columbia, shrouded by decades of conflict, its mysteries are finally revealed. Come explore Columbia, Wild and Free.
Columbia, Wild and Free, May 18th at 10.
Coming up, we're connecting you with the creativity and culture in your community, including a glass artist with an incredible 5-decade career.
I feel so fortunate that the pieces that I like to make and the concepts that I like to explore in glass seem to be things that people like to collect.
A renowned poet, playwright, and educator reflects on her passion and her journey.
I always felt that I was more than male or female, and that everyone was, and that our souls were so big that we didn't fit into any identities.
And we'll take you to a nature conservatory with wings.
It's always summer here, so we always say instead of going south, go to South Deerfield.
Join us for those stories and more as we explore the creativity, culture, and community that make us Western New England. Up next on Connecting Point.
Support for Connecting Point is provided by our contributing viewers.
Welcome, and thanks for joining us for Connecting Point, your source for creativity, culture, and community. I'm Tony Dunn, in for Zydelise Bauer. Artist Josh Simpson first made glass in 1971 while spending a winter semester at Goddard College. That year, he rented land in northern Vermont, lived in a teepee, and built a tiny glass-working studio out of old barn beams. Now in his 7th decade of life, the Shelburne Falls resident is today considered by many to be one of the best glass blowers in the world. Producer Dave Fraser visited with Simpson as he reflected back on his amazing career.
When I started to blow glass, I never for a moment considered it as a potential career. It was just the most fun, exciting thing that I could possibly do at the time.
For half a century, Josh Simpson has been creating art objects from glass. His studio is this big red barn just off the Mohawk Trail in Shelburne Falls.
I think that all the work that I do is in some way related to space, whether planets that I make give you an idea of what it's like to be an astronaut orbiting around a small little world, but I also make pieces that I call tektites that have use the same formula of glass as meteorites that have fallen to Earth from outer space. I also make plates that are what I feel are my idea of what it's like to look up at the sky on a perfect summer night.
The process starts with a small, red-hot, malleable mass of liquid on the end of a blowpipe. Fighting gravity with every turn, Simpson stops only to reheat and then rework the piece until he's satisfied with the outcome.
Glass is insanely hot. You can never touch it. It is one material that, as an artist, I can never, ever touch it with my hands. The result would be horrific. And so my job is to create something and get that liquid to cooperate. That's part of the challenge. That's part of what makes it fun, is the fact that you need to get as close as you possibly can to this dangerous liquid. That's good. Ideally without burning yourself, but or close enough to feel the heat.
In 1976, Simpson started making glass planets, complete with oceans, continents, volcanoes, and clouds. Some of them have literally left this Earth into outer space, traveling with his wife, astronaut Catherine Katie Coleman, who lived on the International Space Station for several months in 2011.
The way he looks at the piece, the way he just is so sure that if he wants it to be a certain way, he can just do that. It's in a way, it's like the space program, where people say, well, when are we going to get to Mars? Well, we're going to go when we're ready. And it's a long journey, and it's a lot of actually small steps. I see that in his work as well, where something that he's been thinking about, 40 years ago, a kind of combination of glass, and then with what he's then been learning, I'll see him kind of go back to that and go, wow, that thing that I couldn't do back then, now I've got a way to do that.
Josh and Katie married in 1997, and one would think that marrying an astronaut was the reason for the creation of the planets. But according to Josh, that's not the case.
I was making planets long before I met my wife. It is amazing to me that Katie joined NASA in 1992, and she has gotten to explore the world the way I imagine exploring the world. I make these glass spheres, and I think about flying around those, whether it's an underwater scene or whether I feel like I'm an astronaut flying in orbit around one.
Many of the planets Simpson's made have been planted on mountaintops, hidden in forests, and buried at sea all over the world as part of his Infinity Project. He estimates that at least 3,000 globes have been hidden in diverse places around the world.
When I moved here 40 years ago, no one was collecting my glass. And I thought, I should make little spheres and hide them around the world, not with my name on them, but I should just hide them, and maybe someday they'll be found by a random stranger or by a kid, and it's kind of a present to give to somebody in the future.
Since learning glassblowing in the early 1970s, Simpson has made thousands of planets, as well as tremendous glass platters, goblets, and bowls. The largest planets are a foot in diameter and weigh 50 pounds or more.
I feel so fortunate that the pieces that I like to make and the work and the concepts that I like to explore in glass seem to be things that people like to collect. And I've just been incredibly lucky that people understand what I'm doing and want to share in that.
Springfield Poet Laureate Magdalena Gómez was just 17 years old when she first publicly performed in Greenwich Village in New York City. Her career as a poet, playwright, educator, and activist has garnered numerous awards, accolades, and recognition. Her mission to provide others with tools for self-determination has also led her to tour nationally as a keynote speaker and become co-founder and artistic director of Teatro Vida, the first Latino theater in Springfield. Gómez joined Zydelise Bauer for a conversation about her journey.
I discovered it in the public library at Hunts Point in the South Bronx, where I grew up. And I discovered poetry there, and I fell in love with it and started writing it when I was like 8 years old. And then finally at 17, I had a mentor. Her name was Emily Glenn. She is one of the most widely published unknown poets in the United States. And she said, I have a feature for you, it's time. And I was 17 and still in high school.
In the artist statement on your website, it says, quote, I grew up hard, I love harder. You have mentioned in past interviews that you didn't always have a voice growing up and that you actually had to fight hard to have one. How were you able to eventually find your voice, and how has that inspired or influenced your work that you do today?
Poetry reading was pivotal. I think that was an important moment because I read my work and I got such a loving response from the audience. And I just felt seen. I felt alive. And in that moment, I felt as if my words mattered.
You have gone all over the country as a keynote speaker. You have been an educator. How did that transition happen, that it was really this moment that you found your voice to now this is who you are in your career?
Well, I think that people should never underestimate the influence that they have on children, whether it is for a moment or a lifetime or for years. A few things happened along the way. My third grade teacher cast me as Walt Disney in the school play. And I loved gender bending, even at that age. because I always felt that I was more than male or female, and that everyone was, and that our souls were so big that we didn't fit into any identity. So I felt very comfortable playing Walt Disney in my little suit and tie. And then I had a 5th grade teacher who said to me, "My dear, you were born for the theater." And then I had another professor in college, Al Bermel, and he said to me, "You were born for the theater." And so all these people who just for a moment or just for a short time gave me words of encouragement made all the difference in the world.
Being a poet laureate is more than just an honor. It carries a responsibility to the city. So can you elaborate on that responsibility it is being poet laureate?
Absolutely. It was very difficult for me because of the pandemic. So I started a podcast called Jazz Ready, because you have to be jazz ready in life, because you never know what's coming. So in that podcast, I originally did it for the city of Springfield, and we now have a global audience. And it features poetry, but then it started to grow into the poetry of music, the poetry of theater, the poetry of public speaking.
Now, in an interview with Holyoke Media, you stated that you do not separate art from activism or art from the human connection. Why has activism been so important for you, and why do you feel that these two should not be separated?
I was born into it. Both of my parents came from poverty and oppression. My father was Gitano, and I think that people understand that Gitanos are among the most oppressed and marginalized people globally, not just the Spanish Gitanos from Andalusia, but Gitanos from all over the world. And my mother grew up, as a victim of the thrashing of Puerto Rico by colonialism, and she grew up in poverty. And I grew up with 2 storyteller parents who shared stories from their lives. And I heard about this oppression. And from the time I was a little girl, there were 2 things that mattered to me, which was giving opportunity for voice to others who had been silenced, like my parents, like myself. So my 2 parents were both extremely artistic without the opportunity to express that. So, and my mother could not read or write until she was 60 years old. So I've dedicated my life to interrupting those patterns in the lives of others. For me, it's important that other people find their voice, their power, their creative spirit. And that's why I can't separate it from activism, because to me, the soul of activism is providing opportunities for others to be their best selves so that they can make our society better.
You make it a point to state that you do not empower anyone. It's not a word that you are a fan of. Why is that the case? And what do you hope people take away from your work and career as a poet, playwright, and author?
The reason I don't like the word empower, because there's, I think, an implication there that somehow we are giving power to others. And I don't believe that my role as an artist or a human being is to think that I can be the voice for other people. My job is to provide venue for them, which is why I started Jazz Ready, why I started Teatro Vida, why I started Ignite the Mic and all of those venues here in Springfield, because I believe that it's my job as an artist not only to amplify myself, but to create the tools for others to amplify themselves.
When George Miller was contracted to build a butterfly conservatory in South Deerfield in 1998, he had no idea he was constructing it for himself. Soon after its opening, Miller took sole ownership of the facility and created one of the most unique destinations in Western Massachusetts. After passing in 2017, his children took over the operation and have successfully continued his legacy. Connecting Point's Brian Sullivan traveled to Franklin County to visit this magical butterfly sanctuary and brings us the story.
There's a little stretch of road along Route 5 in South Deerfield where, whatever season it may be, its earmarks are on full display for all those passing through. This roadside farm stand was shuttered almost as quickly as the first frost's arrival. Many trees have been stripped bare of their fall foliage, not to return for several months. A tractor rests in seeming suspended animation with nothing left to harvest. By all indications, it's late fall in South Deerfield, with winter fast approaching. Unless, of course, we're inside this building only a few hundred yards away. In here, it's one temperature year-round, and the countless Lepidoptera, or butterflies, as us regular folks know them, are living and thriving in it. Seem too magical to be true? Well, it's in the name for a reason.
It's always summer here, so that we always say instead of going south, go to South Deerfield. So we have butterflies flying year-round, rain or shine. We're temperature controlled, so no matter what the weather is outside, it's always butterflies flying all day long. We pretty much mimic the temperatures in like a tropical rainforest. So the nighttime temperatures are somewhere in the mid-60s to upper 60s, depending on the time of year. The daytime we shoot for middle to upper 70s. But you know, if the sun comes out, it's going to be a little bit warmer in there. It's always about 5 to 10 degrees cooler in the summertime because we have a shade cloth to help reduce the temperature a little bit, so it's not uncomfortable. But in the wintertime, we try to maintain around 75 to 78 degrees.
In the conservatory, the butterflies feast on these nectar feeders, and that's because most of the plants in here are not host plants. The reason for that is they're not allowed to have the butterflies actually breeding out here. And that's a good thing, since the caterpillars would destroy the beautiful plant life. Besides, there were already enough butterflies in this room. How many? Well, the answer is a bit complex.
We raise a lot of butterflies in-house, so we raise about 70% of the population, but we import about 70% of the diversity, meaning that some of the butterflies we have, we don't have the host plants for, or we can't breed. So we'll get 5 or 10 or 20 in a shipment, and we help support farmers and farms in other countries that actually farm butterflies and help save the rainforest, because you need the rainforest to grow butterflies. So we probably have about 50 to 60 different species at any given time, and probably about 3,000 to 4,000 butterflies flying.
The butterflies may receive the lion's share of the attention, but visitors are also welcome to take a look at some neat reptiles and some exotic creepy crawlies. For some, these are the most interesting creatures on Earth, while others may find the quickest exit. Luckily, this one leads directly to the Butterfly Conservatory, and for anyone passing through these doors for the first time, the experience is a bit surreal.
Well, I can add this to the list of things I've never seen before. Not only that, but in my entire life, I don't think I've ever had a butterfly actually land on me. And just a few minutes ago, I think I had about 10 all over me. It's really pretty fascinating.
This 8,000 square foot building wasn't always this big. In fact, when it first opened, it was half this size. It's also entirely possible that none of this would be here at all had George Miller not taken this on as a construction project back in 1998, before eventually being talked into partnering in this business.
It started out with 2 people, and some things went awry a little bit in the beginning, and he kind of stepped in, and he pretty much threw a lot of his savings and everything into it, and he believed it was going to become something, and I bet the family probably thought he was pretty silly for wanting to go into a butterfly business, but it took off like a rocket. I mean, it did really well, and thanks to the family, they got it moving.
Every week, Connecting Point explores the creativity, culture, and community that make us Western New England. But it doesn't stop there. You can find us online anytime for exclusive features and content. Magic Wings is best known as a butterfly sanctuary. But in this week's digital exclusive, curator Fred Gagnon shows Connecting Point producer Brian Sullivan some of the other interesting creatures at the facility that don't receive the same fanfare as the butterflies.
We try to get some creatures of really, pretty colors and something that stands out and things that are astonishing, either really well camouflaged that you would never see or something that's really bright colors you wouldn't normally see in nature.
You can find that digital exclusive online right now at nepm.org/connectingpoint. With 16 groups throughout New England and even one in Portland, Oregon, the mission of Rock Voices is to heal its members and others through song. This adult, no-audition community choir was founded in 2012 by director Tony Lechner and has helped members discover the joy of singing their favorite rock music as a collective. Lechner and members Julie Smith and Kate Powell joined Zydelise Bauer to share how this group has impacted their lives.
We took out an ad in the paper saying, "Who wants to sing rock and roll?" And around 50 people showed up, none of whom I had ever met before, except maybe one of them I knew. Why? Is because I had spent my life in music, studying it and teaching it, and have always thought that there was something about choral music that kept everyone from being able to do it. it feels a little bit out of reach to people because it's often in other languages. You often need to read music to participate. And it's a barrier for people, which is ironic because singing is probably, it's the oldest instrument in existence, and all humans have been able to sing since the beginning of time. And we've evolved to this careful setting aside of singing for only certain kinds of people. So my wife Sarah and I were thinking one night, what if there was just a choir for singing whatever people want to sing nowadays, popular music? And we just did it on a whim.
You mentioned that 50 people showed up after that first ad was put in the newspaper. Did that response surprise you? And how has the community responded throughout the years?
Yeah, it surprised me. I think it surprised them too, because I got there late. There was a line out the door, 50 people waiting to get in for me to unlock the door of the building we were renting. I think we were all surprised because none of us knew, me included, what was going to happen. I thought maybe 5 people would show up, maybe 100. I had no idea.
So Kate and Julie, as one of those original people that responded to the ad, what made you want to go check out what Rock Voices was? And were you also surprised to see how many people showed up as well?
It was a really small ad, and it just said, "Do you like to sing?" I think it might have said, "Do you like to sing in the shower?" And I thought, well, yeah, I love to sing. And I had been looking for a choir I could join that wasn't. I didn't want to do women's music, and I didn't want to do international music. I wanted to sing exactly what Tony said: the songs I grew up singing, the songs I sang in my car all the time. I wanted to sing rock and roll, and there just wasn't a choir doing that.
I unlike Julie, didn't know I was looking. It just found me. I've been going to concerts all my life. That's one of my absolute favorite things to do. And I've always sung to myself or to anybody who's in the car with me. I don't read music. I still don't really read music. Don't listen. Because you don't have to. And I felt like Julie did, just giddy with glee that we got to sing along with people with songs that we knew, songs that we've grown up with, songs that we've loved, in a way that nobody was going to make fun of us or say you're singing the wrong part or anything.
Nate Altamari, who helped take up the charge to expand Rock Voices throughout New England. In an article, he said that the community rivals the musicality of this group. And in a time like we are in right now, where it's difficult to be together as we once were, how do you maintain the community within the group?
It's hard because we haven't been meeting in person for 2 years now. We've continued on Zoom, which has limitations. You can't sing in real time together and hear each other. We've kept rehearsals going as best we could.
And you still are making music together because you'll be making a CD, if I'm correct. Yeah, so tell me
2 CDs.
more about that.
We have too many songs for 1 CD, so now it's going to be 2 CDs. And we've been putting out virtual choir videos, which is all the rage now that the pandemic started. We've got 4 or 5 of them out already and a bunch more in the works. We found ways to make it interesting and fun for people.
Well, and I know that there is a lot of community within the group because, as I mentioned earlier before we started recording, back in 2013, Rock Voices was featured on our choral competition series Together in Song. I worked on that show and I witnessed first the camaraderie that existed within the group. So Kate and Julie and even Tony, tell me about the community that you have built and how it's helped heal yourselves and others during difficult times in your lives, or even during the good times.
I think when it began, it was really understanding for me that I had met my people. It was that experience of somebody would make a silly joke and someone else would inevitably find a song lyric that matched up perfectly with that silly joke, that type of thing. And Tony was the master of all of that. And so, we were in the room with this guy who played piano amazingly well and was so gifted and could just you know, in this sort of Robin Williams style, just riff off of almost anything that we threw at him. So he was immensely entertaining. But it was also for each of us, we were engaged with one another in this way.
You don't know that you've met your best friends. You know, you don't like go into a place thinking this is where I'm going to meet, you know, my favorite people, you know, and maybe even somewhat you think you might be past that point in your life. Now there is this whole other world that opened up with associations and a commonality and love and support. And like Julie said, there's all these people that are our people.
If somebody out there is hesitant to join a singing group or thinks maybe my voice isn't good enough to join, what would you say to them to help change their mind?
If there's even an inkling that you want to sing, this is a group that will give you all the support you need to do it. You can blend in and not really hear your voice among all the other voices, just hear the blend. Or you can decide, wow, I want to go for a solo. And the solos are audition based. And so you really get to choose how much exposure you're going to have and how much you're going to push yourself. And I can't think of a better format for someone who isn't quite sure than a choir, than Rock Voices. I really can't.
And that does it for this edition of Connecting Point. Remember, you can always find all of the stories that you saw in this episode, as well as exclusive features, digital-only content, and so much more online anytime at nepm.org/connectingpoint. And please be sure to join us again every week, right here for more stories of the creativity, culture, and community that make us Western New England. I'm Tony Dunn, in for Zydelise Bauer. Thanks for watching, and have a good night.
Support for Connecting Point is provided by our contributing viewers.
So like right now, the senior class is stressing over college apps. Please begin.
I would love UC Berkeley, Harvard, Stanford, Columbia.
I guess you're just looking at like the cream of the crop right here.
I work hard and I strive to be a nerd.
The pressure is insurmountable at times.
Oh my God! It's the best.
Watch Try Harder May 2nd or stream at nepm.org.
A data theft at the university's climatic research unit.
They knew what they were looking for.
And the man at the heart of it?
A pioneer in climate science.
Did he rig the data? Climate game.
They're accusing him of fraud.
Have scientists been manipulating the data?
We need crisis management advice. You say it, it'll sound true. It is true.
Been in this game a long time.
But it isn't a game.
Watch The Trick Friday at 10 or stream at nepm.org.
PBS Kids provides wonderful support and resources for teachers. One of the first things that I like to work on is learning how to communicate, how to solve a problem using your words.
Hi, neighbor.
I use Daniel Tiger in the classroom all the time. I absolutely think that PBS Kids is a valuable and credible source to use as an educator. The kids like to watch it, the kids like to do it, and it's learning, real learning.
There's still time to sign up for the next virtual meeting of the NEPM Book Club. Hi, I'm Erin O'Neill. We'll be chatting about Lauren Groff's new book, Matrix, on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Sign up at nepm.org/book club. The NEPM Book Club is sponsored by Broadside Bookshop in Northampton.
Nearly 70% of American adults don't have a will.
but 100% of adults need one to protect the people they love. That's why New England Public Media has partnered with Free Will to help you complete this important task. In 20 minutes or less, you can write a legal will for free. Take stock of everything you care about and get started with your estate planning at freewill.com/NEPM.
You're watching New England Public Media on WGBY Springfield.
We wanted to honor Holocaust survivors artistically through songs.
They came together to tell survivors' stories through music.
Music was very important in my life. I don't think I would have survived if I didn't have music.
The result was a concert of healing and celebration.
Music is what really tells the heart part of the story.
We remember Songs of Survivors.
We remember Songs of Survivors Tuesday night